The first slide just shows you again what I will be talking about today and tomorrow. And I have to add, many things are difficult to understand if you're not in the model himself, because we are so integrated in our everyday life. And you're always invited to visit. So most of the things you can only understand if you talk to the company, to the student, and to the faculty at the same time. So this is our model. Here would be the bachelor, and here would be the master. And why do I show it? If you imagine, so this is our first year full-time, and we have good reasons to have a first year full-time, and then the students rotate in a company through the work terms and semesters, and the same is done in the master if they continue into the master program. The most important thing is, if you imagine now, we are responsible for this process, teaching at the university, the company is responsible for this process, and it's only the student learning in both worlds. So very soon the student has a competence portfolio that exceeds the competence portfolio of even the supervisors in the company and the faculty at the university. So that has to be taken into consideration if you think about the critical control points, and if you think about how to deal with the student. If the student does not take responsibility for this process, he will stumble from work to study back and forth. And to be able to do that, you have to prepare that and to make it clear to the student that this is important. So that will be, I will not show this again. Everything I will tell is from everyday experience, some things we are doing. And I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. I give you one more translation from another, the same thing again. And this time I add this because of the second to last presentation. So this is the same thing, and it shows you now how you can design an individual career by combining, interlocking theory and practice. For example, for a student who wants to become hygiene manager in the dairy industry. In our food management program, he or she would go on a dairy farm. Then maybe again on a farm, but one who is an agricultural cheesemaker. Then maybe into the quality management at the dairy production, and then maybe back to a testing laboratory, combining these two experiences to take part in a hygiene audit in the dairy, finding out what was missing, maybe it was some cleaning, and then doing a bachelor thesis on a guidebook for cleaning, which in the HACCP. That is an actual career of a food management student. And it shows you the potential, but it also shows you the many interfaces that you have to manage. So let's go to this first question, set of questions. Topic 1. Okay. I took the questions here and I combined the first ones, defining learning practice outcomes, curriculum harmonization, and I just add things that we are doing and how I would. So already in the accreditation document that you have to submit for a program at the national level, there should be and has to be an outline of the main learning objectives for the different practical work terms. What we have done then, because there is always the criticism from the university and from our research-oriented people, how do you prove that every student in every company really does work that is aligned with the contents of the program? Small company, rural company. So what we did, we defined 10 core modules of every program we have, and the students have to prove at least 40 hours of work directly related to each of these core modules, that they have to be gathered in a final module report, has about 20 pages, 25, and every module, every document has to be signed off by the responsible faculty members. So if he has to prove 40 hours logistics, he has to tell that to the logistics professor before submitting that, and the logistics professor says, okay, these 40 hours really were an extra to my teaching. Then there has to be ongoing negotiations. In negotiations, when a company comes in, so you have to talk about the requirements. We have agreed not to make a written agreement. It's a handshake agreement. We make sure the company knows. And of course, it is an issue in the hiring procedure with the student. We have the students for a year, so we accompany them in the hiring procedure. And we tell them we have courses in the first year to prepare them for taking responsibility for their learning, and that also includes negotiating what will I be doing in the company. And the last, there is a written individual plan submitted by the student after negotiating with the company for a preliminary work plan for the company. And there is always, before and after each work term, there's a reflective course at the university where students are planning and reflecting the work terms. There's a site visit in every work term by faculty. I can talk about that, takes a lot of time. And you have to have some extra value achieved for the university. There has to be an individual planning meeting of the student within the company before every work term. We even give students the possibility to be away from the course for half a day, for example, for the planning meeting. We are working with personal learning goals. We have a set of 40 competences, and for every work term, students also set personal learning goals. What do I personally want to achieve in the next work term? Most of them are individual, but we join them in peer groups. So 3 of the learning goals are individual, 3 have to be the same in a peer group of 3 students, so they can compare how did we do in our companies. There is the need of a continuous improvement process. So by cooperating with companies as a university, you have to be open for making changes also in courses and in the curriculum by feedback from students and companies. And we have an interesting element. We have an option for an exchange of up to 5 days per semester. If I get a letter from the company, we have a quality audit. The student is in quality management. The quality audit is during the theoretical semester. Can the student come for 3 days? If there is no exam, I can give my signature and the student can come, and it does not count as an absence. Harmonization has to go both ways. That is very, very important. If we as university want companies to align their teaching to what we have in the program, we have to also give the opportunity to the companies to do the same thing. There can be boards or whatever. What we found is very interesting. At university, we always want to teach everything: soft skills, practical skills, methodology. By having a dual program, suddenly you can say, the company says, I cannot teach mathematics. You have to do mathematics, but I can teach logistics. You only do a little logistics, give the basic principles, we do the rest. So there is a possibility to concentrate on our core competences in both sides. We already heard soft skills. Most soft skills are ideally taught at the companies. In project management, we only need to give the basic principle. We can never give every student the possibility to plan 10 projects, but the companies can do it. Companies can send students abroad. Easier sometimes than we can do as universities. They can send them abroad to a client for 3 days, for 4 days. So we work very closely with companies to include foreign experiences. And something you will hear more from me: bachelor and master thesis, challenging thesis, have proven to be the single most important element for integrating and for sharing skill development between university and companies. And not forget, there has to be enough time. So you can't coordinate everything. There has to be enough time that students just work whatever the company wants, not related to the program. And also at university we are allowed to teach things that the universities don't want, because maybe we are looking 20 years ahead